I'm not going to be a person who's like, stop scrolling, don't consume on social media, get the fuck off your phone. Because what's actually been helpful for me is understanding what is it that I'm seeking in doing this behavior? Like, why am I dissatisfied? Obviously, there's the dopamine, there's the addictive process of getting little hits on social media, getting gratification from likes and comments, etc. And that coming back to ourselves, how can we make sure that that state of being with ourselves is a place that we want to be, is a place that we enjoy, that we love? Hi, I'm Anisa Benitez. Something I'm reflecting on today is how we can be more mindful with our content and what we're consuming on social media. I think oftentimes we get into this place of scrolling, and then sometimes on TikTok you'll have these pauses where people will be like, stop scrolling, stop now. And I appreciate these pauses. Sometimes they are effective, but what they don't do is challenge us to think about why we are scrolling. What is it that we're trying to feel? Sometimes we're feeling like a level of loneliness, and that's why we're scrolling. Maybe we're feeling a lot of insecurity around the content that we're creating. That comes up for me definitely in sharing content on social media. I'm like, oh man, I should be doing a little bit more vlogging. I should be doing a little bit more taking people into my personal life. And then I have to affirm, why is it that I don't? There's so much value to us continuing to be self-inquiring and self-examining when we continue to participate on social media, when we continue to share our opinions in a space that's already really saturated with opinions, with lifestyles and content, and promoting things, understanding your intention behind it, your intention behind consuming and creating. For myself, when it comes to the consuming and the creating balance, it's really delicate. I have to ensure that I'm creating a lot more than I am consuming. In regards to this whole journey that I started when I started creating content on TikTok was a few years ago, and it was totally a fun space that I saw a lot of opportunity in, because with trends, with dance, with self-expression and creativity, it just felt free, and it felt like nothing that we've seen before on social media. And it still feels that way in some ways. But I think as more creators that were focused on mindfulness and wellness, now that it is a little bit more abundant, I definitely feel ability to take a step back. And I also just feel more embodied in my own practices. And it's so powerful for us to get to these places where we feel really embodied and we don't feel the need to talk so much about what we're doing, because we're living it, because we're really living and breathing in it, and it's almost like an afterthought to share on it, rather than, oh my God, I'm doing this thing, let me share on it immediately. That's how I can know that I'm in the stages of learning, when I'm in this like digest and share method versus when I feel really integrated. That's why I'll continue to use social media as a space where I love sharing books and recommendations on things, because in that it feels like you have accountability. Maybe it can feel like you have an incentive to continue learning. It might feel like you have a space to express something that is new to you and maybe new to people in your life and your community, in a way that if you're sharing that with people in real life, they might get really annoyed because they're like hearing about this thing all the time from you, and you have so much to share because you're so excited about it. And so maybe social media is a space that's a very cathartic release. It's very healthy for you to have a place where you feel like you can share something and attract people who are like-mindedly interested in that same thing. You can just geek out, and I think that's the best use of social media, is geeking out on things that people in your real everyday life don't necessarily connect with you on, but you still really value them as friends, as family, etc., and you still want to build on that relationship, but you know it's not a relationship you need to oversaturate with like self-help advice. That's how it definitely evolved for me with my social media. It totally built to this place where it's like, oh, I want to share it out. I want to share it out with the world. Understand why you are in this routine more than anything. If you can catch yourself in this routine of the doom scroll, in this routine of consuming and over-consuming things that you don't want to be consuming, binging out on reality TV, any of these levels of escape, why are you seeking that? Is it because some area of your life is costing you energetically? Are you going through some emotional distress and it's a temporary comfort? Is it the opportunity to feel some sense of control because you can create this curated environment online? Is it because you really enjoy some of the thought leaders that you follow and you're needing some nourishment and inspiration, and you're probably consuming just a little bit more than what you need to go about and move on with your day to really get into the actioning stage? Understanding all of these reasons why we might be consuming unconsciously, right, is totally gonna fuel us breaking a habit. Give us a space to take a pause and be like, okay, I understand that I'm scrolling because I'm in this mode of comparing myself to other people and their lifestyles. Do I want to actually change something about my lifestyle? And if so, what is that? What is that I would like to change, and how can I move towards that? For me, sometimes I'll be like, oh man, I really should be spending more time outdoors. You know, I'll be following all these like nature photographers, etc. And it's a reminder for me, how can I find some days to take off so that I can get into nature? How can I afford to make that trip? How can I coordinate with my partner so he can join me? That self-increase stage, I think, is truly going to be our liberation, and understanding and observing our thoughts and the stories that we're telling ourselves and challenging them and seeing how can we quiet them, how can we transcend them, how can we move past them, because it's often our thoughts and our limiting beliefs that hold us back more than the reality of our circumstances in our present moment. I'm just so grateful to be on this journey with you and be able to share while I'm in progress, because I don't think I'm ever going to be a completed person or have it all together, and that's what I actually love and accept, and has allowed me to feel a level of freeness and liberation. And so while I'm existing, my motivation is to get all of that aliveness, to get out all those experiences, to connect and open hearts and challenge myself and challenge others, allow me to just be in this human existence, to not feel like a liberated free goddess all the time that actually make me feel like a bitter New Yorker. And then I'm like, how do I move from bitterness to love, to softness, to sensitivity? How do I continue to open my heart in places and in spaces that make me really want to shut it down? How can I continue to do that? And yes, it might require me to take time in quiet practice of meditation. We'll see what the future holds. I really appreciate you for being here. And I would love to close on a bit of a meditation, and I highly encourage you to extend this meditation for as long as you want. For me, I think it's just been one of the most grounding practices in my adulthood, and so that's why I continue to share it with others, creating space within yourself to hear yourself, your unique voice, your individual soul speak to you, to feel your intuition, to connect with your body, because the guidance that anybody can share is never as great as the guidance that you hold within yourself. And with that, find a comfortable seated position wherever you are. You can be cross-legged on the floor, you can be sitting in a chair like I am, a little bit of stool. And what you want to do is kind of elongate your spine. Begin by taking a deep inhale through your nose. And exhale through your mouth, gently closing your eyes and sinking into this moment. Continuing to take a deep inhale through your nose. And exhaling from your mouth, feeling yourself more deeply sinking into this moment, sinking into the space around you, tuning into the sound of your breath, and thanking yourself for taking this time to tune into yourself. I appreciate you.